Big price drops in the potato market this week. National prices are down 16% with 10 kilogram bags now at 107 Rand. Good prices dip below 60 Rand before year end. Plus, we'll look at price movements and forecasts for other key commodities on the markets. Stay tuned for the full breakdown. Brought to you by Fieldnet Pivot Watch. The Rand held steady the past week, trading at 17.44 Rand against the US dollar. However, uncertainty looms as China's stimulus plans remain unclear, adding pressure on the Rand due to the strong economic ties between South Africa and China at the moment. The latest Brent crude oil price is currently trading on $78.08 per barrel, with concerns rising over China's slow economic growth and demand for oil. Looking ahead, prices may face further pressure as a projected surplus in early 2025 could emerge, which is driven by lower global economic demand and stronger supply growth. Maximize your farm's efficiency with Fieldnet Pivot Watch, your 24/7 remote monitoring solution. Keep track of your pivots from anywhere, save water and boost crop yields. This is precision farming made easy. Fieldnet Pivot Watch, because every drop counts. As expected, the average national potato price dropped by over 16% to 107 Rand per 10 kg, though it's still 7% higher than last year when volumes were similarly low. Total volumes are up about 2% year on year, meaning the severe frost at the end of July had a limited impact on the crop, keeping prices from climbing further. However, extremely high prices tend to reduce long-term demand, creating short-term benefits but harming the industry in the long run. We saw a similar trend in the sheep market over the past 2 years. Looking at price trends from 2021 and 2023, after similar price spikes, we saw prices dropping sharply in October and November, staying low into the December of that specific year. The big question now is how low prices can go. In a worst case scenario, prices might fall below 60 Rand, but I believe we'll see stabilization between 60 and 70 Rand per 10 kg through the end of this year. Last week, the large potato price dropped to 118 Rand, mediums traded on 106 and smalls on 85 Rand per 10 kg. Mondials traded on 107, Safras on 123 and Lenormas traded on 93 Rand per 10 kg. Switching to onions, the average price increased last week to 50 Rand 38 per 10 kg, which was driven by a 3% drop in volumes week on week. However, the average price remains under pressure, now 29% lower than last year this time due to 17% higher volumes. Brown onion prices rose to 48, red onions dropped to 79, while white onion prices climbed to 50 Rand per 10 kg. Large onions traded on 46, mediums on 58 and smalls on 37 Rand per 10 kg. I expect the average onion price to stabilize around current levels for the rest of this year. Tomato prices fell by 17% last week to 10 Rand per kilogram, with a 5% increase in volumes week on week. Large tomatoes traded on 12 Rand 36, mediums on 12 Rand 34 and smalls increasing to 10 Rand 57. We expect volumes from northern production areas to remain high, with lower mid-month demand likely pushing prices downwards over this coming week. Carrot prices increased by another 6% last week to 7.55 per kilogram, which is 16% higher than last year this time. Interestingly, volumes are still 15% higher year on year, indicating strong demand from unexpected sources. Large carrots traded on 8.29, mediums on 6.57 and smalls on 5.43 per kilogram. The average pepper price rose to 17.98 Rand per kilogram. Green pepper prices, however, decreased to 10 Rand 1 cent, while yellow peppers surged by 16% to 48 Rand 72, and red peppers traded 10% higher on 47 Rand 96 per kilogram. I anticipate a continued downward trend in prices through October and November, especially for green peppers, as volumes of green peppers specifically can increase over this period. The average cabbage price dropped to 3 Rand 3 cents last week, driven by lower market demand. This price is likely to remain below 3 Rand as we head towards the end of the year this year, mostly due to higher expected volumes. Garlic prices also fell, now at 73.20 Rand per kilogram, and are expected to continue their downward trend through the rest of this year. Spinach prices decreased to 2.37 Rand and have remained low over the past month due to increased supply. I anticipate this downward trend will persist into October and November with higher volumes expected over this period. On the other hand, sweet potato prices rose to 7.67 Rand per kilogram, while pumpkin prices increased to 2.60 Rand. Butternuts climbed to 6.22 Rand. Green bean prices dipped to 12.88 Rand and cucumber prices fell to 19.09 Rand per kilogram the past week. Let's take a quick look at the fruit markets. Banana prices are trading higher on 12.23 Rand per kilogram or 220 Rand per 18 kilogram box. While supply remains tight, we're currently at the upper end of this price range. I expect prices to dip this week due to softer demand, with further declines likely towards the end of this year as volumes will most likely pick up. Apple prices increased to 11.67 Rand and pears rose to 11.43 Rand per kilogram. We're now out of season for many fruits, which could keep prices elevated until the end of this year. Oranges saw a similar price hike to 8.41 Rand, with most producers wrapping up their season at the moment. I expect orange prices to stay on an upward trend at least until February 2025. Avocado prices held steady at 21.83 Rand per kilogram despite an 18% rise in volumes week on week. Fieldnet dropped to 28, Haas remained on 16, and Pinkertons decreased to 20 Rand per kilogram. Prices are expected to climb and peak in January next year before dropping sharply in February as the new season is likely to begin then. Table grapes dipped to 52.27 Rand and I expect prices to remain elevated until significant local volumes will start arriving in December of this year. Pineapples traded higher on 12.87 Rand while lemons increased to 5.85 Rand. Meanwhile, blueberry prices saw an 18% drop, now trading on 59 Rand per kilogram. Expect more blueberries on the markets, which could push prices down in November and December of this year. Before we wrap up, I'd like to remind you that there's space available for sponsorship in our upcoming videos. If you're interested in reaching our audience and showcasing your brand, get in touch now. This video is made possible by Fieldnet Pivot Watch by Lindsay. Visit our website at amtrends.co.za for more detailed reports, prices and videos. I'm Dr. Johnny van der Merwe and thank you for watching.